Hi again, I'm Brian Wiggin with SeattleHome.com, and we are sitting here again with Darren Hamilton from Shannon Escrow. Good to see you again, Darren.
Hi, Brian.
How are you?
Good.
I'm glad to hear that. So, more questions from buyers and sellers. Are you ready for them?
Hit me.
Super. First question is, what exactly is electronic delivery with documents? How does that work?
Well, in the good old days, we used to have cabinets of files and documents that we would type in all the, fill in all the blanks with that. And nowadays, we're getting documents electronically from the lender. We're getting electronic purchase and sale agreement documents. We're connecting with our clients through email and in that virtual realm. So electronic documents are good, strong legal documents. We will send our documents out, our initial documents to clients. Depending on the transaction type, they may even get their closing documents and sign those electronically.
Okay, so it's much faster than the old days,
It
where
is
the
much
documents were hand delivered, and we don't do faxes anymore, do we?
We don't, and we keep a fax number, I think, just for nostalgia purposes, but we don't have lenders or loan officers running in our front door with big stacks of documents anymore. Probably in the last 5 years, that really was phased out. Now we get them electronically. It definitely speeds up the process. It also sometimes expands the process in that if a lender knows that they can get documents to us in a second, sometimes they wait till that last second. And we're forcing clients to meet us on short notice for signings. Those are typically buyer clients that we're talking about here. And so it does kind of maybe truncate that end of the process a little bit. So it hasn't necessarily created the advantage of making a stronger, more consistent experience, and it just means that we're doing more business quicker.
Oh, great. Okay. So another scary question that buyers always raise their eyebrows and want to know, what is earnest money and what happens to it? So earnest money can either go to the real estate brokerage or it can go to you. What's the difference between the two? And what again is earnest money?
Well, earnest money, of course, is that pledge that they give to their seller. It says, hey, take your property off the market. I'm going to be a buyer. Here's my money. That's money that is their money. They get credit for it at closing. It's their dollars at work. A lot of times we see more these days where that is actually then transferred to the seller prior to closing. So that means we're dealing with the Washington State Collective Funds Law, and if we're getting a check, a handwritten check, it's got to clear. In order to push those dollars off to the seller, it needs to clear through the buyer's account. If we get a wire, then those are dollars we can use right away. But you can't always ask a buyer to say, hey, what is escrow, and now why am I sending them $5,000? And so that means we have to engage with the client, make sure they're comfortable with the process, and make sure they know exactly what those dollars, how hard those dollars are going to be in that deal. And if they back out of the deal, how do they get their money back? Or does the money go directly to the seller prior to closing? So we deal with those issues. Electronic is a pretty popular, common way to go. We have clients at our front desk all the time giving us checks too. We're happy to take them.
So earnest money, also known as good faith money, in effect, is the buyers telling the seller, I'm willing to put X amount of money down on the table to be held by the neutral party, which is escrow,
right?
To show my commitment to buying that house or condo, whatever it is.
And it's money that they're going to have to spend to buy the house anyhow.
Right.
So it should be a pretty natural part of the process. It all is about information and about getting clients to feel good about the process. And that needs to happen prior to using the term escrow. They need to know what the next part of the process is going to be.
Sure.
And they need and deserve continuity from going pending to closing.
And that's why they need to be working with a realtor that's got experience in the business.
That's it. Not only do they need to know that they're getting a deal that they're comfortable with, they're getting that right deal, but they need to know that their agent understands the process, and it's the whole process, and they need to know that their agent is going to advocate for them, not only in getting the best deal, but in getting that deal closed correctly. There's a big difference between agents and their ability to make that happen.
No on-the-job training when it comes to buying or selling a house, is there?
Well, you don't want them practicing on you if you're a buyer.
Very good. So at the end of the day, the earnest money gets rolled into their closing cost or paying fees at the closing table. What happens if the deal doesn't go through?
Well, if the deal's written up well and the buyer is good and they're qualified with their lender, likely that deal's gonna close. If it doesn't close, then that's hard-earned money that that buyer deserves to have back as quickly as possible.
Mhm.
We're always sensitive to that, and
Sure.
we need to be. So there are ways in which we can transfer the funds back to them. They can come by, pick up a trust account check. It's just a matter of getting the right paperwork done so that
Sure.
we know that that deal is canceled.
And the real estate broker they're working with will also build in a safety net for that buyer to
Right.
protect their earnest money right up to the day of closing.
Right. That's exactly right.
Super. Another question for you about, are your company, for instance, Shannon Escrow, can you travel to accommodate a buyer that maybe can't come to you? Do you go to their home? What if they're out of state? How does that work?
It's a great question. We work with clients all over the world. Our industry here in the Puget Sound region is inviting and recruiting people to here. So we're working with people from all over the world. We have had clients in Iceland and the Far East and military overseas. It's not uncommon. And we're also able to work with them digitally in terms of getting documents to them. There is a process, and you need to be familiar with it. But once you're familiar with it as an escrow service provider, then you can make those things happen. This is such a beautiful, attractive area, industry, amenities, etc. We're working with clients from all backgrounds and all over. So we need to be sensitive to all their needs and their understanding. The way business is done here and transactions are closed in Washington State isn't the same as everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So we are working with clients from all places. If we need to get out and meet a client in the marketplace for signing, that's what we do. I've met clients at midnight. I've met clients at 5 a.m. I've met clients that are incarcerated. I've met clients that are at senior centers. And I've met clients who had a baby several hours before they signed their closing documents. We have clients that are living complete, full, busy lives, and sometimes that requires us to get out into the marketplace.
Sure.
It's, the agent works hard for the transaction and for those clients, and I don't think it's too much to ask for escrow people to do the same.
So whether it be an investor from overseas or perhaps our military personnel that are serving our country, you can accommodate them no matter where they are.
That's right. And you think of someone overseas, you can get them to the embassy that's near them. They can get documents notarized. We can send stuff out electronically. It happens all the time. We can send out hard copy if we need to.
So what about fees? What is that? What does escrow cost, and how does that get figured into the transaction?
It is a fee based on service and expertise, and ultimately the fee is derived by looking at the amount of money that is required for the transaction. What we say is, how much money do we put through our trust account? So
Gotcha.
It's based on that, and it's a fairly nominal fee.
Oh, awesome. Well, that was awesome. Thank you, Darren, from Shannon Escrow. And once again, I'm Brian Wigan from SeattleHome.com. We'll see you again.